Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. Today I want to talk about culture shock. I actually made some notes. Culture shock coming to the Philippines. Now, for me, the very first time I came to the Philippines, it was actually quite a bit different. For me, it's like flying over Manila, going to China, and staying there, and then coming to Manila. It was different from the U.S. because I'd actually never been here like this. It reminded me a little bit of Mexico. When I was in Mexico, I was there a couple times, and it kind of reminded me a little of Mexico. But anyway, culture shock. Communication is very important here. Sometimes you think that you talking to them and they understand you, and sometimes they nod like this. So communication is very important. You just when you arrive here, some may speak very little English. So really a good important factor is just make sure that if you're asking a question that they understand what you're asking, because they will say yeah, and they didn't understand you really. So communication is very, 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 very important. If you expect to sit in the chairs and some of the things like that, they're quite a bit smaller. As you ride a taxi, is getting in and out of a taxi, a big guy like me, it's very hard because they're smaller cars. They're a smaller version of Toyota. A lot of Chinese cars here, and some have Toyotas. It's just a small version. It's like a Corolla, a little bit bigger. If you remember the four-door Corollas, that's what kind of reminds me of that. So remember that. Also, you got your luggage and things like that. And always make sure if you're coming here for the first time, the taxis have the meters. Now, what I used to do when I get out at the airport, I don't get the taxi out front. I go around the side. In other words, I go straight out, and then go take the walkway to the right and go down, and around the corner you'll see a bunch of taxis there. I used to get taxis there. Honestly, I've had bad experiences when I get them out front. Don't know why. I don't know. For me, it's easier if I just go down to the side. You can actually walk across the street and go down. There's another big area. You go down, you can get taxis down there. But why go all the way down there when you just go right out to the street and get you a taxi? And if they don't flip the meter down immediately, uh-oh. Some will have the meter as soon as you touch that door handle. They got the meter running, which is fine. A meter taxi will cost you from $2 to $4, depending on where you're going, of course. Even in Manila, I've been around Manila, and it's not cost me any more than $3 or $4 to get around town. U.S. 200 peso, something like that. I've never had a taxi ride more than 200 peso. And I'm talking from the airport to the embassy, so which is quite a ways. So of course, toilets are smaller here. Toilets are just right up off the floor, so you be prepared to squat. That's culture shock. And then showers, they use buckets and scoops and no hot water here. So they actually fill up a bucket of water and you take and you shower this way. And the water is cold. Some hotels, of course, they have hot water. Some houses have a hot water. They just put a tank on the top of the roof, let the sun get your hot water, and it works pretty good too. I've not done that. That's what I'm going to do at my house, actually. So it's a good idea. Like I said, the jeepneys, the tricycles, and things like that are very small. They charge cheaper than a taxi does. A ride can cost you, it varies, of course, depending on how far you go. You're going to find that the tuk-tuks and the tricycles really are not made for going long distances. They're just made to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kilometers down the road, going to town or going somewhere like that. And they'll tell you, I don't go that far. A lot of them will not go out further than 4 or 5 kilometers. Some, we've had people say, no, I don't go that far. I just stay right here locally. I don't know why, but they just do. Of course, water, ask too, is very important. Mineral water. When you go to a restaurant, you want to make sure you get mineral water. It's a culture shock. It's, yeah, it's mineral water. Make sure it's mineral water. Bottled water is the key. Because mineral water sometimes, yeah, it's mineral water and they get it, but they take ice cubes that they take off the tap It's it's not treated, so you can actually get pretty sick with that. So be careful with that, because I caught typhoid. And it's from a restaurant. I caught it from a restaurant. Also, cash is king here. They do take credit cards. All the restaurants take credit cards. You'll find that your Visa will work at some. You'll find your Visa will not work at some. I've had a couple problems with my Visa. I actually went to Shakey's Pizza and my Visa did not work. No problem. Just always make sure you have a little cash. It's always best to always carry just a little bit extra anyway. And they have to be good bills. No creases, no folds. It's got to be almost pristine. Edges has got to be perfect. So when you turn that money into a money exchanger and you're getting good rates, be careful and make sure that if you're getting U.S. money in America, make sure you get good clean bills. 20s, 5s. They really like 20s. They're not familiar with a lot of 50s. For me, I had that problem. I had to go like 5 exchangers in Manila and Dumaguete and places. So you're better off just take and just make sure they're pristine. If you get them at the bank, say I want to exchange them out, because here they really have to be perfect. I actually changed my Western Union. I actually got better rate at Western Union than some. You'd be surprised. Western Union gives good rate. It's 50 cents right now. It's 53 peso per dollar, and which matters, especially when you get in $100, $200, $300, $400. You can actually gain another 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 peso, depending. Okay, so culture shock. Family lives together. Mainly, you can have a 40-year-old that's been there all their life and a 40-year-old son that's been there all his life, and they live together because family is very important. And it's very I love that about them here. They don't throw you out, or people really don't leave. I left when I was 17, my house, when I was growing up. I mean, even my boys wanted to get out of the house. It wasn't that bad there. They just wanted to get out. A lot of Americans, unless you're going to college or things like that, you get out early. Here, they pretty well stay. So it's not uncommon to have 4 or 5 people living in a house that's 30, 40, 50 years old with 1, 2, 3 kids, and a relationship and a husband and this, that, and other. Also, you'll find that they sleep on mats, and they sleep on floor mats, and they'll actually do that, which is fine, and all in one room. Food, okay, if you want to get food, no worries. Province, kind of hard to get a TGI Fridays hamburger. You're not going to be able to get that. Clothes are small. Phew, culture shock. Clothes, shoes, anything, pants, small, very small. I've been all over Manila at one time trying to find clothes for me. It's very hard. I got this one from China, and it actually is a 5X. Yeah, I had to order 10 to get the right size finally. Also, a lot of times too is if you're going in a particular area in the Philippines too, you'll have, where I'm from, the province, they don't see a lot of Americans in some areas, especially in the mountains. And what they'll do is they'll actually come up and they'll be sometimes in front of you, and they'll stop and stare. And they'll stare for quite a long time, you know, more than 1 minute, 2 minutes. My wife and I sometimes, I'll be standing there and there'll be 3 or 4 people in the aisle. One time I got trapped in the aisle. My wife started laughing. And say hi, Chicha. Yeah, we got trapped in the aisle, and people had me trapped in the aisle just staring, and I couldn't get out of the aisle. So they just, and of course I'm big, and they're not used to seeing big American. So these are just some of the things. Of course, my video is at 9 minutes. I don't want to bore anybody, but I want to tell you some of the things to just be aware of. Things are smaller, so you get in a chair. Even chairs are small. Chairs are very small here. So you need to just be prepared for some of that, and they all sit on benches here. A lot of them don't have backs. And bamboo chairs, bamboo, couch, things like that. Some have cushions, some do not. But I want to thank you for watching, and please hit subscribe.